Tyler here with GP Knives, and today we have the El Chappo from TOPS Knives. This is a cleaver style knife made specifically for chopping and butchering. You can see it's got a very traditional style of blade, a lot of belly here along the cutting edge, no point to speak of, and then you've got a very pronounced upsweep at the front of the blade, putting more of the weight toward the forward edge. So this is going to provide a really great balance for chopping. It's definitely blade heavy. You can see if I'm not holding it with these rear fingers, it definitely tips forward readily. But that forward weight balance is what you want with chopping, because that's going to allow gravity and the force of the knife moving forward to do most of the work and is going to save your own strength. You've got a slightly untraditional method for the hole in the front, but you do have that kind of harkening back to a traditional cleaver. The blade has a high height saber grind. You can see the transition here. So it's a nice subtle transition down to what I would consider to be a fairly fine edge for a chopping tool like this. It is differentially heat-treated 1095 high-carbon tool steel, so that's going to allow it to be pretty tough and take a very fine edge. So it's going to hold up very well to heavy-duty chopping. In keeping with a pretty standard TOPS formula, we've got the combination of the 1095 high-carbon tool steel blade, and then we've got a contoured black canvas micarta handle with red liners. And you can see that it is nicely contoured, pretty subtle, but enough to give a good ergonomic grip. You got kind of a bird's beak here at the end, which would allow a lanyard attachment and also makes for a nice hook for the pinky, and some finger grooves here giving you a few different options. You can hold back on the blade like this for more chopping leverage, or you can move forward into this index finger groove for more control in finer cutting tasks when you are using this as an actual butcher knife. Now, the lanyard loop attachment is probably not going to come into play there, but if you're using this as kind of a multi-purpose woods knife, then that lanyard is going to provide some extra security if you're using this for wood processing. Here for a quick size comparison, I've got the Paramilitary 2 just to give some scale. So you can see that the handle size is going to be actually pretty close on these two. Handle thickness is going to be a little thicker on the El Chappo, but for being such a large and heavy knife, it makes sense. And then here I have the El Chappo with the Frog Market Special XL from TOPS. These are two game or food processing knives, but they're coming from two pretty different design philosophies. So you're going to see that while these are pretty similar in the overall size, you've got a much finer point on the Frog Market Special and a much thinner blade stock. So while it could be used for some light butchering, it's definitely not going to have the heft that you would need for some more heavy-duty chopping like the El Chappo. You can also see that it's got a much more pronounced belly, so more for rolling cuts, whereas the El Chappo has a more straight edge, again, more oriented towards chopping. The overall handle design is going to be similar in terms of the materials, but you've got a more neutral handle, obviously for more of a slicing knife, and then a more pronounced ergonomic design on the El Chappo, giving added security for those powerful cuts. Now we're briefly going to take a look at the El Chappo with another cleaver style knife. This is a cleaver from Victorinox. So you can see the similarities in the overall blade design. You've got a little more of that weight forward design on the El Chappo with this kind of pronounced hump on the very top there. You can also see the traditional round hole versus the dual round holes and the oval hole on the El Chappo. A little more neutral handle design, but I will show you why that might be. And that is because while they have a similar blade profile, You can see that the blade thickness is significantly higher on the El Chappo. Another interesting thing to note on these two is the grind. So you can see that the El Chappo actually tapers to a much finer edge and has a much more gradual transition from the thickness at the spine to the actual cutting edge. Whereas the Victorinox is much thinner overall, but has a more dramatic transition right there at the very end of the cutting edge. And I'll try to hold that up and show that in more detail here. So you can see this is basically where the edge transitions from the full thickness. And it's almost more of a slight convex, whereas the El Chappo is almost a full flat grind up to about here, where it transitions into the full thickness. So here you can really see that with the full thickness coming to about here, and then a very gradual taper down to that fine cutting edge. As a more specialized cutting tool, the El Chappo was designed for pack carry and comes equipped with a Kydex blade cover that is held on by a replaceable shock cord. It's very secure, protects the edge well, and is very easy to remove for use. Again, this is Tyler with GP Knives and the TOPS Knives El Chappo Cleaver. You can check it out now at gpknives.com. Thanks for watching, and stay sharp. If you like what you've seen today and you'd like to see more, check out the rest of the videos on our YouTube channel. Like the video below, and click the icon at the bottom right-hand corner to subscribe to our YouTube channel feed for updates on all new videos.